Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's top of morning. You can see I haven't even climbed out of bed yet. So it definitely is gonna be a change of scenery today, but change is always a good thing. Um, like I said, you guys know I usually bring you all the videos while I'm on the road or while I'm in travel or in between me doing other things I have to take care of during the day. But this vent or daily Jew, whichever one you want to go with, is definitely something I spoke on before. It definitely relates a lot to probably the last two videos I posted as of late, and it definitely relates entirely to one I posted a while back. But no need to go into the past. I just felt compelled to speak on it yet again because I just continuously see some of the same things going on within relationships, within friendships, within groups, within family, whatever it may be. But most specifically, I've seen it a lot in relationships. And I'm just going to pose a simple question before I get into my actual spiel. It's not really even a question. It's a bit rhetorical. Anyone can answer it. But I just want to make a point to a lot of people. When two people conjoin, when two people come together, the common goal is to make a conducive bond, make a cohesive bond, make a bond that works for both, that's for the betterment of both, and that both parties can benefit from. At least that's what I think a group or a bond is. Like I said, whether it's relationally, family, friendship, whatever. Plain and simple, 1.5 plus 1 does not make 2. 0.7 plus 0.5 does not make 2. No matter how you put it, until you have a whole and another whole to put together, you cannot make 2. So if you're not a whole within or an outer, you cannot get with another person that's not a whole or that is a whole and make 2. It's really simple math. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Anything less than that does not get you a conducive partnership or a conducive bond. And the reason I'm jumping into that, like I said, is something I've been seeing quite often. And even as far back as when I did the Great American Teaching this past November, December, one of my biggest questions that I posed to mostly the young ladies in the classes I went to was how many of these young ladies, and I'll pose the same question to anybody watching, or anybody period, man or woman, how many of us have relationship goals? Most of us do. Most of us know what we're going to deal with and we're not going to deal with. I see women all the time on social media. They're not going to deal with the lies. They're not going to deal with a sorry father. They're not going to do X, Y, and Z. And I posed that same question to you today, and the same people I posed it, as well as I posed it back when I did the Great American Teaching. Issue number 1. When I asked the question of how many of the young ladies in those classes, these were all high school classes, have relationship goals, I would say probably 97% of the young ladies in that class, and males, all raised their hand. They have these morals and principles, relationship-wise, that they're going to live and die by. Certain things they're not going to accept. Certain things they're not going to tolerate. And, that's awesome. But my next question was, how many of you have life goals? How many of you know at 25 what you're not going to deal with? How many of you understand, you have a certain standard set or a certain bar set of what you're not going to deal with, what you're going to deal with, and what you better have on the table at a certain age? And unfortunately, the issue is many of us don't. Even men, we look at a woman, we want a certain type of complexion. And I'm not saying me specifically. I love all races, creeds, and colors. I love them all. But a lot of us know what kind of hair we want the woman to have. Just me personally, I love blonde hair. And not saying, again, not on any specific race, but I just love blonde hair, period. But anyway, we all have certain special specifications and certain things that we feel like we want in a partner, or they gotta bring these things to the table. But when do we take the time to make these must-have and to-do lists for ourselves? When do we take the time and say, hey, by the time I'm 19, I better have it together. I better have a career plan. I better have a life plan. I better have my life goals in check. And I just say all that to say this again: 0.5 plus 1 does not make 2. You cannot make a cohesive bond with another individual if you're not whole yourself. And it goes to small things, insecurities. I know many of us. We haven't fully loved ourselves. We don't understand the importance of the admiration of oneself. And I'm not saying to be vain. I'm not saying, to be full of yourself or cocky or arrogant. But I'm saying, how can you love another human when you haven't fully loved yourself? How can you, brainstorm and come together and try to make a cohesive unit with another individual, and you don't know your do's and don'ts? You don't know your loves and likes. You don't know the things you hate. You don't know the things you despise. You don't know what you aspire to be. You may not aspire to be anything at all. How can you be a wife when you haven't become a woman? How can you be a husband when you haven't become a man? When you haven't, when you haven't become a father, not a daddy, but a father? And that's something I see constantly. And again, that's why, like I said, I haven't even jumped into bed yet. I just felt compelled to get the camera out while it's fresh on my mind and just knock it out right away. But it's too many of us out here with relationship goals, and we don't have life goals. We have no idea where we're headed. And a crazy thing my cousin told me, well, not even crazy, because in retrospect, it was an awesome thing. But he told me 2 years ago, he was in the same position I was once in, struggling as an entrepreneur, trying to get it off the ground and having issues with his partner. Man or woman, what they have to understand, especially in the entrepreneurial lane, is nothing is promised here. The people in these lanes are the manager, the CEO, the custodian, human resources, all that. That person plays several vital roles within their own life for their own success. And, even in the corporate world, you have to have an understanding partner. And like I said, I just see so many people hell-bent and focused on love, but they don't have life together. And I'm not want to shoot it down, but love doesn't pay the bills. Being the longest standing couple does not make you successful. Being the longest standing couple does not concrete your children's future. It does not concrete your future. And like I said, back to what my cousin told me, it's a brief saying, but we cannot grab our goals holding hands. A lot of us have to practice sacrifice. We don't know how to put the woman down or put the man down or step away from those things and focus on ourselves and the betterment of ourselves. How can I really give you, my full potential as a man when I don't have myself in order? And honestly, at that point, we're just two struggling artists. And two struggling artists that have become complacent and comfortable with that lifestyle are only going to create more struggling artists. And that's just an analogy, me giving it to you, as far as somebody trying to get into the entrepreneur lane. But just simply said, it's the blind leading the blind. The blind and the blind getting together are only going to breed and create more blind individuals. And that cycle just continues on and on and on. Hence is why I know we've all seen it. We've all heard women, or you may be the woman watching this. Your mother taught you this about a man. He better do this. He better do that. He better bring this to the table. He better treat your kids like this, or all these specifications that this man better bring to the table, or he is not worthy. I've yet to hear any woman tell me or over here, period, what they better have at 20 years old, what they better be doing at 30. My mama told me I better be successful in my career path at this age. She told me I better not accept nothing less than this when I go on this workplace or when I step into this entrepreneurial lane. And and I'm not saying this to say that those people who were raised like that, they were raised by the blind. That was just an example. But I'm just here to say, you have to stop being so worried about things of the world and relationships and things like that when you're not one within. I know people right now who aren't willing to walk outside with their natural hair. They have a crooked smile, so they're scared to smile. All these insecurities, but you want to conjoin with another insecure individual and hope and pray like hell that you all can blossom to be something amazing. It just doesn't add up. How do you put bad and terrible together and say, we're going to make something good? Like I said, y'all, I don't have to go on and on with this one. A lot of us are either living this situation or been in it, or we know people doing it. I know so many women I went to school with that were in a rush to get married. They're married now, and a lot of those same women I run into, with a ton of problems. The guy's crazy, this guy actually hit me before, or he's a terrible father, or vice versa. You got to know yourself before you can know somebody else. You got to know what you love. You got to know what you don't like. You got to know what you're willing to tolerate. You got to know what you want out of this thing called life before you add dead weight, to your shoulders already, and try to reprogram what you want out of life. And like I said, y'all, it's very simple. It's the blind leading the blind. You got a lost man and a lost woman that's gonna get together and find their way. Negative and negative doesn't add up. I'm aware of what they told you in math. You know, negative times negative and this and that and blah 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 could turn out to be a positive. This is reality. This is the real world. You got to know yourself before you know somebody else. Really, that's the moral of the story. We got to stop making relationship goals and not having life goals. We got to stop chasing behind men and women, but we're not chasing our dreams. We get together and we become more stagnant. Now we're just a stagnant, struggling couple. We got to stop being so selfish. We got to be selfless. For those of us with children especially, stop thinking about you all the time. Stop thinking about that man all the time. Think about the day you leave here. What tools, what knowledge, what visions, what plans, what plan of action are you equipping those little people with that you're bringing into this world that have nothing to do with nothing? Being selfless is a lost trait in this generation. So many people are caught up in the moment, you know, instant gratification. They're caught up in this temporary thing, not thinking about 20 years down the road, not thinking about if you left right now, what did you leave them? What kind of guidebook did you leave them? And I'm just here to tell y'all, because I know a lot of people have become so complacent and so comfortable with this. The struggle doesn't have to be part of the story. I don't know what part of the game that was taught that, you know, the struggle is, it's all a part of the process. I gotta totally disagree. We're not all meant to be without lights and water. We're not all meant to, you know, to live in impoverished areas and raise our kids in impoverished areas and in impoverished schools. That's a choice. And like I said, y'all, the blind have to stop leading the blind. You got to know yourself before you connect with somebody else and y'all try to know the world. 0.5 plus 1 does not make 2. I'm not going to keep y'all all day. You know, like I say all the time, y'all, time is of the essence. If you watch the whole video, you just spent 8 to 10 minutes watching me go on my spiel. Lord willing, you took something from it. But at the same time, there's somebody in the same position running the same race that you're hoping to win, y'all. So again, get up, get active. We just utilized 10 minutes. Yeah, we got 8 hours and 20 minutes left in today's cycle. Let's make it one that counts. Let's lay that brick. Let's find ourselves before we find ourselves trying to find other people. I think that pretty much sums it up, y'all. Again, you cannot make a cohesive bond if you're not whole yourself. I'm gonna catch you guys next time on the next Daily Jew. The little one bust in the room, so I gotta get back to my daddy duties. You wanna say hey to the camera? It's right there. You gonna say hey? Since you interrupted, say hey and get out of my room.
Hey.
All right, bye.